Black tears, one will fall for every good year, rolling down my face. Inside I'm dying, outside I'm crying. Black tears. Your kiss killed me that night, as your lips left a bitter taste. Inside I'm dying, outside I'm crying. Black tears. How did it go all wrong? We seem to have it all, but it's broken, and I'm running, and I'm scared. So I pray to God above. It's a sin when we don't love. It's so quiet. Can you hear me? Are you there? Black tears, please be gone, so I can see clear. Keep calm and carry on, but inside I'm dying, outside I'm crying. Black tears. How did it go all wrong? We seem to have it all, but it's broken, and I'm running, and I'm scared, so scared. So I pray to God above. It's a sin when we don't love. It's so quiet. Can you hear me? Are you there? Black tears, one will fall for every good year, rolling down my face. Inside I'm dying, outside I'm crying. Oh, I'm crying. Oh, I'm crying. Black tears. Black tears. There you go. What a super song. Part 13 of my musical rainbow. The colour's black, and the song originally by Imelda, I believe, called Black Tears. And what a super song that is. And it's the opportunity for me to talk about the colour black. And it's quite an interesting and unique colour. When I did the white part of the musical rainbow for the Christmas song, I did White Christmas by Bing Crosby. I was saying that's kind of like the full saturation of light. It is, the light reflectance is its maximum. It is full, saturation. Almost like the opposite end of that is where there's an absence of light, and black not really being a colour in a traditional sort of sense, but it is the absence of light. Colour is how the frequency of light is almost like transmitted and received by the eye. So where there's no light reflectance at all, it is that absence of light being transmitted. So black is quite a unique sort of colour. Just a little example behind me, you can see the shadow. So behind me where my outline is, that is, again, that's an example of where there is an absence of light. So quite an interesting one. But what does black mean to you? I'd be quite interested to read some of your comments in the comment section below, because there's a lot of negativity around black. Because if you think of if you are being put on a blacklist, that's not a good thing. But if you're blackballed, that's not good. And if you're the black sheep of the family, which is a bit peculiar, because the language that we use has got lots of negativity associated with the colour black, which is a bit peculiar, because I know somebody who used to be a sheep farmer, and I'm reliably informed that if you have a black sheep, it's something to be celebrated. It's kind of good. It's a gift. It's good luck. It's a positive thing. And yet the phrase "a black sheep of the family" has got no good connotations to it, which is a little bit of an interesting narrative, really, for what we see as the colour black. Obviously, there's certainly how we describe things in the UK. There's an ethnic group of black, and there's a whole history of discrimination in terms of that. So maybe there's a bit of a racial undertone in some of the language that we use. Certainly, one thing that's come into the language in the last couple of years is Black Lives Matter, and that message is clear and simple. It's not to say that white lives don't matter, it's to say that black lives matter too, and black people should be given that luxury that white people have sometimes, of getting fair access to things that basically someone like myself who's white just take for granted. And one of those basic rights, if you like, is the access to justice and democracy. And the trigger for Black Lives Matter was the tragic death of George Floyd on the streets of the USA, and he was killed by a serving police officer. And regardless of what misdemeanors that George Floyd had done in the past, that serving police officer had no right to take the law into his own hands and be judge, jury, and executioner on the streets of America. So that is the trigger for Black Lives Matter. And white people should not feel at all threatened by Black Lives Matter and the kind of that sort of a campaign and that voice being heard. Because if it's good for one person, it's good for another, and that equality and that fairness is something that we should actually take as the baseline of a democracy and as a society. So white people need not be threatened by Black Lives Matter, because if Black Lives Matter too, then white lives will anyway. That goes without saying. So there we go. But what are your views on the colour black? Whether it's a kind of the racial commentary that I've just given, or the colour black, the absence of light. What does it make you think? Is it a Halloween colour? Is it sort of like a death colour? What does black mean to you? I'd be quite interested to hear. So if you feel like commenting, I'd be very glad to read them. Right, all that remains for me to say is thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the song, and hopefully you'll join me next time. So until then, I'll say goodbye for now.